Probably. Wow. We're doing the weighing of the wands.
The weighing of the wands.
Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the riddles inside Goblet of Fire, Chapter 18, The Weighing of the Wands.
You know, the weighing of the wands it's sort of an interesting one because coming into doing this, I was trying to figure out like if it's a play on some kind of like play on words of some sort.
Oh, okay.
Like is there a reason like behind where it's like normally like the weighing of the blanks and it's like, hey, we wizardified this common tradition and made it into like the weighing of the wands or whatever. And
right.
I can't really find anything in particular. Like it seems like it is like mostly just a Harry Potter thing.
Okay, yeah. Maybe it's sort of like I would say like the lighting of like the Olympic torch or something, just sort of like the ceremonial opening of the tournament. But even that, there's already a different like fiery object that opens the tournament.
Yeah. There you go. Like you mean the Goblet of Fire?
The Goblet of Fire,
yeah.
Which I never think of as a torch, but there it is.
It kind of sort of is. Yeah. Otherwise, we got our chapter art going on here, which is going to be just a lovely depiction.
Do you know what it does remind me of? When we went to Richmond, Virginia, when we got like sort of like recognized by the state.
Yeah.
For like Super Carlin Brothers, like as they opened the floor or whatever it was, they had this big like scepter.
Yeah, you're right.
That they
like something straight out of like a fantasy video game.
Yes. There was this like big ornate scepter before they like began the day, and they had to everyone like stood up and they like set it, and it's like once it was on the table, it's like now the floor is open or whatever.
Right.
It was like this very ceremonial thing that was just like, wow, that seems kind of silly, but also I love it.
But can I touch it?
Did not know that the Virginia state government had such whimsy at it.
But good for them.
Good for them.
Yeah. Anyway, then we got the depiction here of Rita Skeeter, which feels reasonably spot on to how you might imagine her.
Oh yeah, great chapter art. I like even the way she's drawn. It's like there's lots of very like severe lines. Like you kind of get an idea for who she's going to be, and you've sort of been introduced to her off page a few times by now. So I'd like it. I like the depiction of her. You don't get a lot of, canonical looks. Sometimes I like when you get a good portrait of a character, like this is what they look like,
I mean, that is largely, I feel like, you could use the chapter art as like our canon base zero for a lot of these. Although I do believe Snape is depicted at least a couple of times. And usually I'm sort of like, that's not how I picture Snape at all.
Yeah, I know.
Even if it's not going for the Alan Rickman version of Snape, it's like, it's just different.
It's just different.
Yeah,
it looks very like Rasputin from Anastasia or something.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we have the quick quotes quill here, and it's kind of like the bejeweled glasses, which obviously are sort of signature to her beetle form.
Yeah, it's a very good inclusion to put the bejeweled glasses because that will be her like signature mark for the beetle thing later.
Yes, indeed. Otherwise, we're pretty much just kicking off right into the chapter, right at the night after. So the last thing that we saw was Harry going back up to the Gryffindor dormitory, and he found Ron up there, and they've just had this like really negative exchange and kind of just like left the night with like this unresolved ish left about. And so it kicks off right away, and it says, when Harry woke up on Sunday morning, it took him a moment to remember why he felt so miserable and worried.
And then the dragons arrived.
Yes! I forgot that this is something that we were going to do.
I know. I'm like, did we do it in studio yet?
I don't know if we have.
Maybe we have. If we haven't, if we're already doing that, we did it on tour, and we decided it was going to be something we would do at the beginning of every chapter. And this must have been the first one we did it on because it's where I have it written in the book. It's possible we've already done it on the main show, but I just forgot to do it last week. You know what? Just for good measure, let's go back to the four champions here.
Yeah, why not?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, lay it on me.
This would have been chapter 17. Harry sat there, aware that every head in the Great Hall had turned to look at him. And then the dragons arrived. So,
I mean, it works. It works pretty well in both instances because both of these have to do with Harry responding rather negatively to the events of being entered into the Triwizard Tournament, and the first task that he will be up against is a dragon.
The dragon. It works especially well in this book. I think it's like a trick to like fantasize like other non-fantasy books.
Yeah.
But inside of a fantasy books, it works really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally fits. Totally fits. Yeah.
But I love that the description, though. It took him a moment to remember why he felt so miserable. Like, I mean, that feeling to me is akin to like when you are like in the process of getting over like a breakup.
Yes.
Where it is like all you can think about it is dragging you down, but like eventually you'll wake up and it'll like take you a few minutes like to remember that you're upset, and then it'll be like, then it'll hit you again. But there's like a few glorious minutes at the beginning of each day, and maybe each day gets like a little bit longer, and it's like it is so fitting for this exact moment because that's sort of what he's experienced. Like Ron has like sort of like broken up with him as a friend at the moment.
Yes, yep, absolutely. So it's a very relatable feeling. We've all probably had this moment in our life before where you've woken up and like it's kind of like, oh yeah, crap, there's a bad thing. And now I have to live in that for the rest of the day. Yeah, but you had a glorious minute there where it was like,
oh yeah,
what is it?
It was just a regular day for a second. I wasn't the champion. Ron was still my friend, and then yeah. And then the dragons arrived.
Then the memory of the previous night rolled over him. He sat up and ripped back the curtains on his own four-poster, intending to talk to Ron to force Ron to believe him, only to find that Ron's bed was empty. He had obviously gone down to breakfast. And it's really too bad that this doesn't just work.
Oh, I know.
Because like I feel like they're going to spend a lot of the next like approximately 21 days not talking to each other.
Yes.
And it's like right here, right now, it's almost like he had like enough of the gusto, enough of the like determination to be like, you know what? Let's just nip this in the bud. Like, let's get it done right now. Like,
right.
You're mad at me. Let's talk through it. And unfortunately, instead, it's going to simmer and just get worse.
Ron's not there. And we know, when Harry stays up all night to think of something to say, he nails it.
Oh yeah, he gets
it, right?
He gets some good quality.
Right. Maybe it's better that Ron wasn't there. Based on the letter he wrote to Sirius a few chapters ago, might have made things worse.
Maybe. Yeah. It doesn't seem like any exchanges that they're going to have are going to make things any better for a while.
Yeah,
so.
Especially because at this point Harry still doesn't totally get it. Like he hasn't talked to Hermione yet.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Which honestly, like to Harry's credit, I feel like it speaks a little bit to his own personal humility that like he sees it as just like such a negative thing. Like it's not even occurring to him that like it would be obvious that this is something that Ron would be jealous about.
Right.
He's
like, this is clearly only bad.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes. But Ron gets to see like some of that glimmer, some of like what would be kind of nice about it. So.
Right. Like to Ron, there's only glory in being school champion. He thinks Harry put his own name in, not that he didn't put his name in. So yeah, you can see why it would be different if that's what you believed. But of course, he goes to try and find Ron, but doesn't find him, and instead finds Hermione, who's waiting for him with a stack of toast, which they do eat a lot of at the Gryffindor table.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yep. I do think it's rather adorable, though, that Hermione, although it seems like Harry was maybe like the last person to wake up in all of Gryffindor, because it seems like there's plenty of people already in the Gryffindor common room who've already gone to breakfast and come back.
I mean, he had quite a night, and they were up late. Well, I mean, Harry went to bed kind of early. Everyone else was like, they were up late partying, eating their chips and peanuts.
So this is like hangover toast.
This is like hangover
it's
toast.
Like,
yeah,
I have one too many butterbeers.
I had one too. Yeah, right. I got a whoo. Yeah, Hermione's like, I had to get up early. I had to drink. I had to,
Whew. After you went to bed, Harry, I decided, well, may as well enjoy the party.
Yeah, I thought, when I'm done with this spew stuff, I'm going down there. But I had to wake up, or I wasn't feeling good. I woke up early, had to head down to Great Hall. You know what I mean?
You know how it is.
Yeah, you know how it is. Anyway, I brought you some toast. You want to go for a walk? Maybe get some fresh air. Get some fresh air.
I just need some fresh air. That's all.
Yeah. Oh man, no, this is actually very, very sweet of Hermione. She is like really thought ahead on this. I also put like a little heart here. This is like a little Hermione moment for sure. I think.
I think it's going to be kind of a big Hermione chapter, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, no doubt. You know, a lot of Hermione little moments. I think next chapter especially too. I think it really ramps up.
That's when it really kicks off. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so they're walking around. They walk around the lake where the Durmstrang ship is moored. Where you have to imagine, you know, one new champion, Victor Crumb, is like, all right, I have become school champion. Now I'll ask out that girl in the library. He's like, what? Oh no, that other little boy got there first. He's French in this scenario.
The other little boy.
I know. Why do I keep doing this?
It's okay.
I keep trying to reach for that Durmstrang accent.
And every time I try to correct you, I'm like, well, maybe I can like pull out like a good like, you know, Bulgarian accent on behalf, and then all I can go to is just deep south.
Deep south, yeah. So you're right. You know what? When in doubt, just be like, oh boy, I'm school champion. I can finally ask out that other girl in the library. Oh, what? That other little boy's already asked her out. That's unbelievable.
That's on him. Well, shoot, darn.
Well, that's, you know, so that's what Victor Crumb is doing, staring out the porthole at the ship, just like, I cannot believe somehow I'm too late.
That's the fan art that we need is Harry and Hermione walking along the lake's edge, and then you just see the ship in the background, a tiny little porthole, and there's just like a little sad face in it.
Yeah, just like, no,
oh man,
it cannot be.
Yeah.
But fortunately for Harry, Hermione accepts his story without question. More little Hermione action there.
Yep.
And then she's like, the look on your face when Dumbledore read your name. It's like, yes, Hermione looked at Harry and knew exactly what it was thinking. Ron looked at Harry and thought, how could you?
I know. But that's exactly what I go back to. Like when I read the line, and I even talked about it like being like one of Daniel Radcliffe's better like acting moments.
Yeah.
But like it says, Harry turned to Ron and Hermione. Beyond them, he saw the long Gryffindor table all watching him, open-mouthed. I didn't put my name in, Harry said blankly. You know I didn't. Both of them stared just as blankly back. Like, that's the moment. And I feel like both in the book and in the movie, I'm like, this is such a believable reaction.
Right.
Like to me, it is kind of shocking that Ron is able to like muster enough gall and jealousy to be like, you're just saying that.
You're just saying that. I know, especially because like from Hermione's point of view, like we know, like if you like, Hermione's going to have a lot of good takes in this chapter where it's like she clearly knows her two best friends really well. And so like the fact that she knows she can read Harry just fine, then she gives her read on Ron too. And he says, does he still think I am myself? And she says, well, no, I don't think so. Not really. Which is just sort of like, if she's correct here, it's like ridiculous. It's like even that means that even Ron knows he's being kind of ridiculous and just like, I don't even care. I just want to be mad. I don't, whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's much more in camp like, okay, enough is enough. This has become too consistent of a trend. I am tired of being, the proverbial third wheel between Harry and fame.
Yeah.
And it's just like this is too many things. It's just too many things, and I can't handle it anymore. I'm just sick of it.
Yeah. More of a personal problem for himself, really.
Yes.
Of course, Hermione is over there and says, oh, Harry, isn't it obvious? Which, I dare say it is pretty obvious. He's jealous. Jealous of what? Harry says, which is like, for real, jealous of what? What do you wish was happening to you instead, Ron? But then this is the part where I think Hermione has a really good read on Ron. He says, well, Ron's got all these brothers to compete against at home, and you're his best friend, and you're really famous. He's always shunted to one side, which that is a really good analysis because it is basically what Ron saw in the Mirror of Erised, like what he wants most of all. And Harry was there to see it, or was there to hear Ron see it. And even Dumbledore told him afterwards, it's like Ron has all those brothers and sees himself as the best of all of them. Hermione was not there. She just knows this about Ron from having gotten to know Ron.
Yeah, which is it's very impressive. I think it definitely goes to show that Hermione is she is watching her two best friends probably more carefully than they are watching anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely taking in what it is they value and don't value and what they're up against. Which is very interesting, and it's just very, very sweet in general. I think that's just a sign of a very good friend.
Yeah. She does say he's always shunted to one side. So like not always shunted to one side. Like he did win the chess game. Like Dumbledore did single him out and give him some points. Like I mean, not as many points as Harry. Obviously.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. even when I got credit, it was like not as much credit.
Not as much.
Why didn't you just give Harry 52 and then give Neville like 20?
Right. Like,
or like 11. That would have been fine.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah. That would have worked out. But no, Dumbledore, show favorites, whatever. No big deal.
It's cool.
But she does say, and he puts up with it and never mentions it, but I suppose it's just one time too many. And I mean, I do think it's interesting. We talked a lot about this like kind of dynamic and relationship when we were doing like the what if Ron was in a Hufflepuff series, because it does seem like if you reshape like Harry as Ron's brother, then a lot of the stuff that happens to Harry is like much more fueled with jealousy than when it's like your best friend, and you can like almost be like excited or like it's kind of cool to be like involved in sort of this like sacred space. Or whatever
of the chosen one or whatever.
Yes, exactly. But so I mean, it's nice that Ron normally is so good with it, but it's too bad that this one strikes so hard.
Yeah, it is. But I think you're right. It's not even. I think that Harry is necessarily. It's like his anger is being taken out on Harry, but it's like according to Hermione, he doesn't even really think that like Harry did put his name in. It's just like he's just mad that yet another thing has happened to Harry. Like yet again, something's happening for Harry and not him. So I feel like he's more mad at like just like the lack of attention, even though it's not Harry's fault, and he even knows that, but he's just taking it out on Harry.
Yeah.
So, but then Hermione suggested he goes to talk to him, which is what he wanted to do that morning. But now that he like knows why Ron's mad, he's like, well, I'm not running around after him, trying to make him grow up. And we're just like, it could solve a lot though. Probably it would.
Yeah. But then he follows it up with, maybe he'll believe I'm not enjoying myself once I've got my neck broken. And Hermione cuts in. She's like, that's not funny.
But it is what happens.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, it is exactly that.
Yeah.
I think that Ron's like going up against the dragon, like nobody could have done that on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like,
whoops.
well, the other three contestants did.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it does take Harry fighting a dragon for Ron to come around. Not quite breaking his neck or anything, but yeah, the overwhelming danger makes him finally come to his senses. It is not like they have a good conversation and work out their differences.
Yes.
Ron's just like, nope, yep, I was dumb. You're right. That was a dragon. Oh my God. Wow. Glad you're safe. I would have hated it if you died.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this little next line though. It says, Harry, I've been thinking, you know what we've got to do, don't you? Straight away, the moment we get back to the castle. Yeah. Give Ron a good kick up the.
Yeah.
And then I'm laughing at my own note here, but I was like, up the what? And then underneath it, I wrote, just kidding. I know.
Excellent. Oh, man. So Hermione wants him to write to Sirius, though, saying it's almost as if he expected something like this to happen, which, of course, he did because he's talking to Dumbledore, which we will find out later. I guess we don't know they're communicating yet, but they are. He'll say he'll probably come bursting right into the castle if I tell him someone entered me in the Triwizard Tournament, which, yeah, more or less is exactly what happens. Or at least he bursts his face into the castle.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Like at least his head comes bursting in.
Yeah.
It also does sound exactly like Sirius. I mean, even going as far forward as everything that happens at the Department of Mysteries that leads to his own death. I mean, Dumbledore will describe him as like Sirius is not someone who is like built for sitting idly by while others like endure danger.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
So it's like it would be precisely in his character.
Yeah, to do it. And Harry, who's really only known him in person for 30 seconds, already knows that about him. That's like to have met Sirius is to know that he's not going to sit there.
Yes, he's a bit brash.
He's a bit brash. But then Hermione, or he says, tells him that he's going to find out anyway. And Harry's like, how? And I'm like, Harry, come on, seriously. Good on, like catch up.
Yes. It's at this point. It's like, come on, Harry. How thick can you get? Like,
how thick can you get?
It's like you must know. That this will get out.
Yeah. Of course, Hermione explains it to him. This tournament's famous. You're famous. I'll be really surprised if there isn't anything in the Daily Prophet about you competing, which is pretty much what the rest of the chapter will be about.
Yes, indeed. But so yeah, this is finally enough to convince Harry. And it's like, okay, I'll write to him, said Harry, throwing his last piece of toast into the lake. They both stood and watched it floating there for a moment before a large tentacle rose out of the water and scooped it beneath the surface. This is just one of those funny moments because squids can't digest bread. So
that would kill it.
Yeah. Like, this would not be good for the squid.
Like one of those things. Like, you probably didn't think you needed to look that up, but actually, that squid does not eat that bread, or it shouldn't be able to.
It shouldn't be able to.
You know, it's magic squid, so maybe it can.
Maybe it's fine. I guess we don't know for sure whether or not the lake is fresh or salt water.
I suppose.
I had some people write in. I can't remember what it was we were talking about. Maybe how the Durmstrang ship travels, because we're like, it's probably not connected to the sea. But some people did say that there are lochs in Scotland that are saltwater. So apparently that does exist.
Like, okay, well.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. It's a possibility anyway.
It's a possibility.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get to the letter Harry writes to Sirius, where he mentions that on Saturday I got picked as a 4th champion. I don't know who put my name in the Goblet of Fire because I didn't. To which I'm like, he's just sort of like assuming Sirius knows all about the tournament, even though Sirius never would have seen it. Like, to me, if I'm Sirius, I'm like, what? Wait, sorry. What's the Goblet of Fire? What is the Triwizard Tournament?
Yes.
Right.
Is this your science fair project for the year?
What does that mean? Is that tell me more details, please?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yep.
Of course, he doesn't need that because he is talking to Dumbledore, so he's probably already aware of all of these things. But nonetheless,
right. Then he goes on to include what I find to be just sort of like a strange detail that I'm not totally sure why it's in there, but it just says the other Hogwarts champion is Cedric Diggory from Hufflepuff.
I know. I literally highlighted that and it says as if he cares.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you know who Sirius is rooting for, Harry. It's definitely you. But Harry's like, just in case. If I want to give you full disclosure, so you're capable of choosing which champion from Hogwarts you choose to cheer for.
Right.
Cedric is the other option.
Right.
He happens to be incredibly handsome and has a straight nose.
Surprised it didn't include all that. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't mention who the Durmstrang champion is or the Bobaton champion.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Have
you heard of Victor Crumb?
Yeah, maybe you've heard of him. Kind of a big deal, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd probably be more pertinent information to Sirius, as he is like on the lookout for the Durmstrang headmaster. Like,
yes, yeah,
look out from the champion from Durmstrang. I think he even says that.
He will say that. Yeah. But then Harry pauses, and it says he had the urge to say something about the large weight of anxiety that seemed to have settled inside of his chest since last night, but he couldn't think of how to translate into words. And it's just like, I mean, this is, again, it's like one of those moments where it's like, dude, like, you gotta get that off your chest, buddy. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's like he does finally have this like adult person in his life who wants the best for him. And even to that person, he's so unwilling to just like let them be the adult for you.
I mean, yeah, it is. I feel like that is like a hard thing. Like if you're not practiced at it, it can be difficult to like share.
Yes.
But he clearly wants to, but doesn't. And it says, hope you're okay. And Buckbeak, Witherwings, Harry. So again, yeah, I feel like Harry's, his letter writing or his note writing could really take a, ratchet it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have let Hermione, how does this sound? Like, well, Harry, I think maybe you should mention how you're feeling. I don't know why you put this stuff about Cedric in here. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's like, if you're going to bring him up, you should at least say that he's super good looking.
Yeah, you should at least, give all the deets out there. Maybe mention Ron in here. I don't know. Sirius was your dad's best friend, and, now you're having trouble with your best friend, so maybe he could help with that or something.
Maybe James and Sirius went through something similar.
Maybe they did. Maybe you could ask him to share a story about that, Harry. What do you think about that? He's like, nah, I'm just going to send it. See ya.
Yeah, I wonder how Sirius felt when he didn't make the Gryffindor Quidditch team.
Exactly. Yeah, because he's not that good at flying.
Because he calls it the Quidditch.
The Quidditch, yeah.
Headcanon forever.
Yeah.
Okay, finished, he told Hermione, getting to his feet, brushing straw off his robes. I guess they have freshly cleaned the ship off the floor.
I guess so.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.
At this, Hedwig came fluttering down onto his shoulder and held out her leg. This is just another, like, I feel like very big emphasis on the continued isolation that Harry's going to be like feeling over the next couple of chapters here. But it's like even Hedwig, it's like he can't be using Hedwig, so he needs to offend Hedwig in the process.
Exactly.
Yep.
Hedwig gave a very loud hoot and took off so suddenly that her talons cut into his shoulder. And of course, Harry's like, "First Ron, then you," said Harry angrily. "This isn't my fault." And I highlighted that because it's like that's sort of the real battle, is it? Like that's sort of like the what Harry's going to be realizing over this book and the next one. It is like what Dumbledore will be explaining to him about being the chosen one.
Yes.
It is like this is like, and like Harry will eventually fully understand it. It's like the difference between like being forced to battle and like walking into the arena with your head held high. Like right now he's being forced to battle.
Yes.
Like, and this is like all on his like walk to becoming the chosen one, because it's the same thing. Being the chosen one isn't his fault, but you do have to handle it.
Yes, yes, indeed, yeah. And I mean, I highlighted the same thing, and I was like, this idea, like what he's dealing with, like it is very difficult to grapple with. It's like he doesn't want this, and then in addition to not wanting it, it seems like everybody's mad at him for it.
Yeah,
and it's just like, well, this is terrible. Like I've lost in both directions.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very like this is like the diet version of what the Ministry is going to do to him like next year.
Yes,
more or less.
Absolutely.
It's like you're the chosen one, and now the entire government is mad at you,
right?
For something you didn't choose,
right?
Yeah, right. Like it's going to be way worse next year.
Yes,
it's not just going to be teenagers. But speaking of how the teenagers are responding, they did not seem impressed, because I guess everyone's always so determined to Harry, which is kind of surprising when you consider that thus far he's like defeated Voldemort and killed a basilisk, and I don't know, maybe there were rumors of him fighting off the Dementors.
Yeah, I mean, yes, exactly. So it's like, during Harry's time at school, it's like he would have arrived already famous. Like people have been gawking at him for so long. Like the fact that his name came out, like again, you have to sort of imagine this is more just like, what is it about this kid?
Yeah.
But also not like that your average fellow classmate would be like, I hate you now.
I know.
Like you clearly just want attention.
Right. But that is the Hufflepuff. It says the Hufflepuffs felt Harry had stolen their champion's glory. Yeah. Like, which again, I'm like, man, if only Harry's name had come out first. If it was like
then I'll just be on Cedric.
Floor, Harry, everyone would be like, what, Harry? No way. How'd he do it? That's incredible. Hooray, Hogwarts. Yay. Cedric, what? Harry's our champion.
Cedric stinks.
Cedric stinks.
He ends up getting the spare treatment anyway.
No, yeah, absolutely. He does. Yeah, he does get the spare treatment. Oh boy! But of course
you get it right.
I get it because
kill the spare.
Kill the spare. I got it. Yeah, totally. It says Hufflepuff Cedric. They love Cedric because he's the only one who got Hufflepuff House any glory. One of the few who had ever given them any, having beaten Gryffindor at Quidditch once. Which I'm like, I cannot believe the collective amnesia literally everyone has about the Dementors showing up, and like no one else considers that to have been a problem.
Yes, I know. It's like it is such a at bare minimum in everybody's mind it should have an asterisk next to it.
Right.
It's like and I feel like there were a couple of instances this past football season where our favorite team, the Commanders, won a game at the very end on like a literal jump ball.
Yeah.
It's like the ball got thrown down the field, time had run out, it hit players from both teams' hands and happened to land in our teams in the end zone.
In the end zone. Hooray.
So it's sort of like, yay, we beat that team, but it's also like, but you can't exactly be like, we decidedly beat that team.
Right. Yeah.
It's like when it came down to it, it was like the ball bounced around and we happened to come up on top.
It was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take a coin flip win, but also it's like,
I know, but I know it's like this one. It just feels like, oh yeah, remember when Cedric beat? It's like I'm imagining them like playing soccer or something, and it's like, oh yeah, Cedric was on a fast break, and then he was about to score, and then remember when Harry got trampled by like a herd of buffalo, and then Cedric scored? Like, what a champion! He's the best ever. We love him, and it's like. You guys remember the Buffaloes though, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that you didn't remember that when they like knocked Harry out and he almost died and like Cedric scored that goal. Hufflepuff wins. I don't see the problem.
I don't see the problem.
What are you guys complaining about? Cedric won that game. It's like, Okay, but
yeah.
that was pretty weird that Buffalo were even in the arena.
They weren't supposed to
They
be
weren't
there.
supposed to be there. They guard the prison.
We've taken the Buffalo analogy so far.
But that's what it's like. It's just like, why does everyone so determined that Cedric beat Harry when it's just like, no, Harry got trampled by freak buffaloes, and you're all acting like that didn't happen. Dementolos, exactly.
Yeah. Buffamentors.
Buff mentors.
That sounds like somebody who trains you at the gym.
A buff mentor.
A buff mentor.
Can you imagine just like a really swole mentor?
Yeah, it's like one more rep.
One more rep. Oh man, fantastic. Okay.
Anyway,
moving on.
The Hufflepuffs did laugh rather unpleasantly when one of the bouncing bulbs wriggled free from Harry's grip and smacked him hard in the face. To which I did have to include a note like that. To be fair, this would be hilarious.
No, would be hilarious.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. But then Harry thought even Professor Sprout seemed distanced with him, to which I said, one, that's rich, since you didn't even come back and say congratulations to Cedric the night before.
Exactly.
I know. Also, how unprofessional. Who are you, Snape?
I know. This feels very uncharacteristic for head of Hufflepuff House.
It does, frankly.
But to be fair to Sprout, maybe there's the possibility that this is just Harry putting the lens over his own eyes and he's seeing everything in the context in which he interprets it.
Right, yes.
I've been known to do this.
Perhaps he's like, like you got hit in the face with the bulb. It's like everyone laughed at me, like really mean. It was like, Harry, they laughed at you because it was hilarious. Like it has nothing to do with being a champion. Like, you got to laugh at yourself.
I was just like, oh man, I just got hit in the face with a bouncing bulb.
Yeah.
Through the Gryffindor is sponsored by Turtle Beach. Remember the feeling of booting up your favorite game for the first time? The late night sessions, the epic wins, the sound of the lobby filling up with friends? Gaming wasn't just something you did, it was a whole experience, and the right headset made all the difference. Like, honestly, I remember when Ben and we used to go to LAN parties where we were all in different areas of the basement because, plugs, and having the headset was like the thing. And Turtle Beach is bringing that feeling back with the Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset. It's like stepping into the golden age of gaming all over again. Only this time the audio is richer, the surround sound is more immersive, and the battery lasts an insane 80 hours. Like no more crackly mics, no more missed call outs, just pure uninterrupted gaming exactly the way you remember it, except better. Y'all, Ben and I both upgraded to these setups, and the difference was instantly incredible. They're comfortable, the audio quality is amazing, and let's face it, they look pretty cool. Plus, that 80-hour battery life, like, yes, please, as a dad of a kid who has to constantly change 1 million batteries, like, there's nothing worse. But back in the day, like, you're in the middle, like, mid-battle, right? Like, letting a friend know that you've got the flag, and then your headset goes down and totally blank. No one's got my 6. Headshot again. Don't let it happen to you. Don't let it happen to you. Head to turtlebeach.com and use code Griffin for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code Griffin. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. So if you want to support the show, and please do, tell them that we sent you. Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience today with Turtle Beach.
But then they get to Care of Magical Creatures, where Malfoy and the Slytherins show up, talking about how half the Triwizard Champions have died. How long do you reckon you're going to last, Potter? And I was like, hey, Malfoy, okay? Only 25% are going to die this time. Huge improvement.
Oh, man.
People are going to stop listening.
They really are. They're going to be like, guys, what did Cedric ever do to you?
He got his name pulled out first is what he did.
That's it.
Yeah, no. So anyway, Malfoy's taking bets. He says, how long do you reckon you'll last, Potter? 10 minutes into the first task? That's my bet. To which I was like, well, where is Ludo Bagman now? I imagine him popping out of the bushes like, you taking bets?
Yeah.
I'll take that action. I'll give Harry 11 minutes. What do you say? 100 to 1? Malfoy, you got money? 100 to 1? Potter, 11 minutes? Oh, we're gonna put it down. We're gonna put it down.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I thought this was funny because I highlighted the same thing. I was like, hey, there's some earnings back in Ludo's pocket.
Yeah.
So at the very least, if Draco does make this bet, then Ludo is starting to build back a little bit of his
A little
losses.
bit.
Yeah.
He's got a long way to go.
He'll make
Seems
it
like.
longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Crab and Goyle guffawed sycophantically, which I just think is a funny group of words because Crab
Right.
and Goyle just seem like so silly and I don't know, unintelligible.
It feels like you can't guffaw sycophantically if you don't know what sycophantically means.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're incapable of doing that. I even highlighted it and said, good word.
Good word. Good word. But in comes Hagrid, who's balancing a teetering tower of crates, the obvious way you would store your blast-ended Scroot collection.
Yeah.
Just in a giant skyscraper of death, basically. But he tells everyone they have to take the Scroots for a walk, which Malfoy not happy about. Take this thing for a walk, to which it does seem very silly.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like it's going to work.
Where exactly are we supposed to fix the leash? Around the sting, the blasting end, or the sucker?
Yeah.
Round the middle, said Hagrid, demonstrating. You might want to put on your dragon high gloves just as an extra precaution. Like,
Yeah.
Harry, you come and help me with this big one.
Yeah. Of course, what Hagrid really wants to do is just talk to Harry because he's very anxious about Harry's name getting pulled out, which, I mean, bless Hagrid for actually just believing Harry. Says, you say it wasn't you and I believe you. Dumbledore believes you're in Hall. So good for Hagrid. Love that. But the Scroots are starting to get real dangerous. They're no longer shellless. They develop thick gray armor, and they look like a cross between giant scorpions and elongated crabs. So just your two favorite creatures mixed together.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like that, it's not a terrible description either because, I mean, I guess a fire crab is a turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So maybe it is a little bit unusual given the ingredients because it's a manticore and a fire crab.
But the bug version of the manticore.
The bug version of the manticore.
Yeah.
Yes. But then the fire crab is like a bejeweled tortoise.
Right.
So yeah, I think I made this exact same comment when we were on tour. I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. And then it's like, wait, no. Okay.
It would have been fun if the blast-ended Scroots at least were covered in like precious gemstones or something.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is why, because we can harvest the gemstones, but it's just hard because of all the other problems.
Because of literally everything else.
You got to work for it.
Yeah. Then Hagrid's like, look like they're having fun, don't they? Said Hagrid happily.
Right. No awareness.
Yes.
Not deterred at all.
This is something that we need to see desperately in the HBO show is because last time we didn't get to see Blast-ended Scroots at all. But this time, are you looking at something?
I just noticed that literally right over there, we have a book called Gods and Heroes. And well, I don't know if that was in the episode, but before the episode, we were talking about like, where do you read the Greek myths?
Oh.
And we have a book literally sitting between us where I bet that most of them are in.
We should cut to that clip now just so people
We
know
should,
that
just
had
so
it.
that, yeah, we did talk about it.
There's always like these Greek myths and stuff, but I'm like, where could I go to read the Greek myths?
Yeah, good
Like
point.
you always feel like I'm like reading about there is a myth, but like where like if I just wanted a book of Greek myths,
Where's the original Greek myths?
where are the Greek myths written down? Did they have like their version of like a Bible or something? Here's where we wrote down all of our religious beliefs in the gods.
In the god? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure it exists. I bet
It
there's,
must,
yeah.
yeah.
like Greek mythology 101.
Probably.
I was looking over, I was like, oh my gods, we're so dumb.
It's literally right
It's right there. Anyway, not important.
Back to the HBO series. At least one of the additional recommendations, because at this point in time, I've just included it in my head that the people writing the show are listening, and they're like, "Yeah, we just need any tips that you guys are willing to offer."
Yeah.
But it says more than one person was being dragged along on their stomach, trying desperately to get back on their feet by the blast-ended Scroot here. This is the kind of thing where it's like, don't draw any attention to it, don't do any close-ups whatsoever, but have a conversation between Hagrid and Harry during this particular lesson where all of this stuff is going on, and just in the background, somebody is being physically dragged across the screen.
Just like a bunch of students, and just like, yes, there needs to be like a whole, like, if you rewatch the scene and just watch what's happening in the background and don't pay attention to Harry and Hagrid, it's hilarious.
Yes.
But like that's probably what you don't see on the first pass.
Exactly.
It needs to be like out of focus even.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. It's the kind of thing where somebody will eventually like make like a reel or a TikTok or something where it's like, I was just rewatching and I never noticed before. And then
Yeah.
they'll like pull their camera up onto their laptop and they're like, look at this.
Look at this.
It's like, and then they're going to like pull out their book and be like, look, there's the line.
Boom.
You know, it's like, look how unbelievable. They were so committed to the bit.
Got it right. Got it right.
I
always imagine the leashes he gives them to walk them with are like multi-cut, like there are like a variety of different bright colors.
Yeah.
Like they're like
okay.
someone's got like a really bright pink one and someone's got like a blue one and a green one and they're all just, I don't know why. That's how I always picture it in my brain. I don't know why.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so there, if you want that as a suggestion too, to have a blurry blue and green leash walking the Scroots.
Oh, I love
You're
it.
welcome.
HBO.
HBO. Yes. Let's see. Everything then Hagrid wisely points out, school champion, everything seems to happen to you, doesn't it? And yes, everything did seem to happen to Harry. That was what Hermione had said walking around the lake. And that was the reason that Ron was no longer talking to him. Which I'm like, all right, Ron. Things happen to Harry, but like things happen to you too, dude. Like you did win the chess set. It was your sister who opened the Chamber of Secrets with your wand that backfired on Lockhart and saved everybody. It was your rat that turned into a person and met up with Voldemort. Your car that you guys flew together to Hogwarts, and you both visited the spiders. Okay, so like a lot of things have happened to you.
Yeah, it's like, come on now, man. You're selling yourself short. Is really what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, what has Neville done? What's Neville done?
You know, why is it always him? He's broken his wrist on the first day of school flying, and he got hung from the rafters by some pixies.
Yeah.
Yeah, got leg locked by Malfoy. Got bullied by Snape quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron's things do seem cooler by
They
comparison.
do seem cooler. Yeah. You know, you stood up to your friends that one time, Neville.
That's
was
right.
Good.
That's
Yeah.
right. We're proud of you for that.
10 points.
10 points.
Yep.
Let's see here.
Speaking of standing up for your friends with the power of friendship or whatever, though, I do love the sentiment, though, where Harry's like having such a bad time, but it says he thought he could have coped with the rest of the school's behavior if he could have just had Ron back as a friend. Which, like, superpower friendship stuff right there, like it's like that just like helps like shield everything. It's like someone who can sit there and constantly tell you like, don't listen to them. They don't even know what they're talking about. They're just jealous. But Ron's the jealous one.
Yeah, for sure. And it even says, but he wasn't going to try and persuade Ron to talk to him if Ron didn't want to. And it's like, come on, like you literally started the chapter. You almost just did it right away.
Almost right away. It's like, I feel like he was going to do it right away, and then Hermione told him what Ron's reasoning was, and he was like, wait, that's his reasoning? Oh, no.
That makes it worse.
That makes it worse somehow. Now it's on him. The onus is on him to make up to me,
right.
Basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. So then we get an update on the Ravenclaws, and it says Harry had hoped the Ravenclaws might have found it in their hearts to support him as much as Cedric, but he was wrong. Most of the Ravenclaws seemed to think he had been desperate to earn himself a bit more fame, but by most, it just basically, as far as I can tell, means not Cho.
Yeah, exactly. Cho was over there sort of like, now, Harry, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
I know. She's like, what? I already liked him. My goodness, Harry.
We're back to the Southern Belle.
We're back to Southern Belle Cho Chang. Yeah.
That's most likely how she speaks.
Exactly.
Okay, let's see here. Then there's the fact that Cedric looked the part of the champion so much more than he did. This kind of goes back to the chapter art from chapter 17, where it's like the picture of Harry with like the big long shadow in front of him. Like, and it kept talking about how everybody's like so much more impressive. And like, you know, they've kind of got like they're taller and bigger. But yeah, Cedric is exceptionally handsome with his straight nose, dark hair, and gray eyes. It was hard to say who's receiving more admiration these days, Cedric or Victor Crumb.
Oh, I know. I mean, if you have Cedric, who's just like on his own and naturally good looking, you have Victor Crumb, who is the Quidditch World Cup like hero, and then you got Fleur, who is also naturally good looking, but then additionally magically good looking.
Magically good looking
Yes.
to boot. Yep.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, there was no reply from Sirius. Hedwig was refusing to come anywhere near him. Professor Trelawney was predicting his death with even more certainty than usual.
Which he does die eventually.
So, I mean, there's that. I mean,
Yeah.
she's on point as per always.
As per always.
And he did so badly at summoning charms for Professor Flitwick's class that he was given extra homework, the only person to get any apart from Neville.
Just go ahead and throw Neville under the bus real quick for no reason.
For no reason whatsoever. Yeah. But it is obviously kind of funny because the summoning charm is going to ultimately end up being the key to how he solves the dragon task.
Yeah, so his struggling with the summoning charms, like a good little through line for like all the lesson updates you're getting.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see. So Hermione says the reason is because he just wasn't concentrating properly, and Harry's like, yeah, wonder why that was. As Cedric Diggory walk past, surrounded by a large group of simpering girls. But then we arrive at potions with the Slytherins, where they're all wearing new badges, courtesy of Malfoy. It says Harry thought at first they were all SPEW badges, which, like, can you imagine if they were just like, oh yeah, actually, you know what? Total point. We're all on board.
That would be so interesting. However, I just think it's so funny because we know that Draco, especially in year 6, is going to copy a lot of Hermione's tactics on how to like communicate with the Death Eaters by using like the enchanted coins, the same method that the Dumbledore's army used back in year 5. And so it's like right now, like Hermione has been on this campaign to create these badges for SPEW, and then it's almost like Draco's like, well, now that is a good idea.
Oh, I know. I can just imagine this down in the Slytherin Commons. Like, you seen these badges, Granger's hanging out, SPEW, elf rights. Never seen anything so stupid. Although,
I mean,
it does give me an idea. Does anyone want to stay up late making buttons with me?
Where's my button press grab?
Exactly. Just remember, just know that canonically, Draco Malfoy was up late last night making buttons, doing arts and crafts in the Slytherin common room.
For his favorite Hufflepuff.
Yes. Just for mostly to support Cedric Diggory. That is what the badges say. Support Cedric Diggory, the spare Hogwarts champion. Yeah. It looks like it says real in my book, but I crossed that out and you got the right words written in. So if you get this page, don't worry, I fixed it for you.
The spare
Hogwarts champion.
We should make those pins.
We should absolutely make those pins. Oh man, I'm sure people would love to own them.
I think we must lose one Hufflepuff every time we do this.
Yeah, well, at some point they'll be like, nah, it's just a part of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The guy, they're just being silly. It's dark humor. This is how we cope, people.
Exactly. Of course, the real purpose isn't to say support Cedric Diggory. It's to press them to when they can then flash Potter stinks. So, I mean, it is so much effort to go and make all these badges just for the sole purpose of insulting Harry with a not very witty insult either.
I know it's really not. It's like Potter stinks. Like, you went through all of this effort and that was the best you could come up with because there are better insults.
There's better insults, which Hermione even points out. She's like, really witty. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is effective. It does bother him. And he says that he holds out a badge to Hermione. He says, I've got loads, but don't touch my hand. I've just washed it. You see, I don't want a mud blood slamming it up. Which, two things. One, he says he's got loads. So I can only imagine he was literally up till 3 a.m. making more and more and more badges. Just like, man, people are going to really, really want these. They are absolutely going to want to wear it. They got to make sure I have enough. Got to make sure I have enough supply to meet demand.
Got to have a whole box full.
Got to have a whole box full that I can shake around in people's faces. And also the mudblood insult here, why? It's like at some point, it's like, why is Draco popular? Like, he's not a likable person.
He's not. Yeah, exactly. It's like any decent person looking on is not being like, oh, now this guy.
Yeah.
This guy has got it figured out. Like, I want more of what he's selling. Can I get one of the pins?
Give me one of those pins. What do they do? Oh, and they're mean. Cool.
The best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, this basically is just too much for Harry. He had reached for his wand before he thought what he was doing. People all around them scrambled out of the way, backing down the corridor. Harry, Hermione said warningly. Go on then, Potter, Malfoy said quietly, drawing out his own wand. Moody's not here to look after you now. Do it if you've got the guts. Which I feel like is very like scared Potter. You wish energy.
It is. Turns out he does have the guts because they both cast spells at each other. Harry yells, "Furnunculus!" and Malfoy says, "Densogio!" They collide in midair, ricochet off at angles, and then hit Goyle and Hermione. So Malfoy cast Densogio. His is the one that hit Hermione. That's what makes her teeth grow, which then I guess Malfoy's intent was to make Harry's teeth grow.
You know, that must be the case. Because Densogio does translate roughly to tooth grow.
Yeah.
That is that one. But then on the flip side, Harry's is maybe like a little bit more clever because there ends up being like this kind of like boil effect.
Yeah.
Like ugly boils springing up. But I did look into the etymology of furnunculus.
Yeah.
And it does have a vague etymology to the word ferret.
Oh,
which I think is kind of funny because
that
it's
is
like,
hilarious.
It's almost as if like what Harry possibly could have been going for here is like if Moody did it, like I'm gonna do the same thing.
I can do it. Oh my god, it'd be hilarious if Harry had turned Malfoy into a ferret as well.
Yes,
that'd be fantastic. Instead, that does not what happened. He hits Goyle with the Furnunculus spell, and he gets the boils. So boils for Goyles.
Boils for Goyles. Yep. Although also worth pointing out that the spell will be used again at the end of the book on the train, and at that point in time, it's going to hit Crab.
Ah, wow. So they both get it.
Yes, so they both get it straight to the face.
There you go. But so Hermione's teeth start growing. They're already larger than average, but are now growing at an alarming rate. So this is all set up for like the Hermione glow up later on in the book where she's going to come down and be Victor Crumb's like Yule Ball date.
Yes. Yeah. And at that point in time, it's almost like, I think it's Harry who notices the teeth. And then like Hermione's like, well, the thing is, like when Madame Pomfrey was shrinking down, I just let her go a little bit further.
Yeah.
You know, so she ends up kind of going from having like what was apparently kind of like larger teeth to then smaller, straighter teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's effectively getting
She's getting
braces.
like magical braces.
Yeah, which is funny because her parents are dentists. So.
Yeah, and they're like, you should just have regular braces. And she's like, but I don't have to. Watch this. Being hot. No, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. What are you talking about?
I was in the hospital.
In the hospital?
I was attacked.
I was attacked. Yeah. They fixed my teeth. This is how they have to look now. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, as per always, whenever Harry and Malfoy seem to be having a battle of any kind, Snape arrives on the scene and says, "And what is all this noise about?" said a soft, deadly voice.
Deadly.
It's like, why deadly?
I know. Why
would
is it
deadly?
a deadly voice?
Yeah.
Like, what is all of this about?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that sounded deadly.
No, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it sounded a little bit like the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. Only one
Jabez. What would a deadly voice sound like?
Let's see here. Okay, so what is this
snake like I can be? Right, that's Jafar being deadly at the end.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah,
to keep it in Aladdin. So let's give it to Snape. And what is all this about?
It still kind of sounded similar to me.
It wasn't that great.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well.
I think you're not going oily enough. I feel it's more like, and what is all this about? That's a reminder.
Well, I know. I was trying to be, okay.
You were trying to be silly. Did I
little bit.
Did I take it too literally? And then it was like, by comparison.
And what is all this noise about?
Noise
about.
Your excellent Boeing effect you added there.
Malfoy, you tell me, I trust you will not fabricate the truth. Yeah, that's exactly what he says. He says, pointed a long yellow finger at Malfoy and said, explain. Yeah, like, oh yeah, I'm sure this will be honest, which of course it's not. He says, Potter attacked me. We attacked each other, and he hit Goyle. And this is Ron speaks up. Good for Ron. Says, Malfoy got Hermione. And Hermione's like trying to cover her teeth. And Snape looks at Hermione and says, I see no difference. To which I literally wrote in my book, what the actual hell, dude? Like, come on. Why? What are you talking about? This is so mean to someone for no reason.
Yes, I know. It's like Snape. Dude, you must do better.
You must do better.
This is the moment. It's like you are the teacher. You are the adult. You are supposed to be the mature one. It's like you can hate Harry as much as you want. Clearly, multiple things happened here.
Clearly.
Malfoy's a prat.
He's not exactly doing legilimizing the answers out of anyone now, is he?
Exactly.
He's like, yeah, I could probably just read your minds, but why don't I have my dishonest student tell me what happened?
Exactly.
And then I'll insult someone who got attacked on accident. That seems like a cool thing to do.
I know, especially when Hermione is like probably the best example of the modern day Lily.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you would think that he would have like a soft spot for this character.
I know, you would. The Muggle-born Gryffindor super achieving student.
Yes.
Yeah. Snape, what are you doing? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. This is like when I can never get over this. People, if they're like if you're like, Snape's a pretty good guy, though, just like, no, he's not. No, he's not.
No, it's just too hard to it's too hard to bring him back to center.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Anyway, then in the confused inn, it was impossible for him to hear exactly what they were calling him, which is Harry and Ron both yelling at Snape as loudly as they can. He got the gist, however. Let's see.
He got the gist
in a silkiest voice. 50 points from Gryffindor and attention for each Potter in Weasley. Now get inside, or it'll be a week's worth of detentions.
Yeah. So they lose 50 points here. They also lost 50 points in year one, and it basically wrecked all of their social credibility to date. This time, not quite the reaction they get.
I mean, Harry's already at like kind of a low. Like, I mean, the rest of the although this would be the kind of thing where it's like the whole school was mad at them except for the Gryffindors. Now the Gryffindors were mad at them.
Yeah, what 50 points? Come on, Potter.
Yeah, Harry's having a rough chapter, isn't he?
Not having a good time.
Yeah.
But they head into the class and they're both shaking with anger. And for a moment, it feels like everything's back to normal between them. But then Ron's like, nope, it's not. I'm going to sit with Dean and Seamus instead. Seamus. My gosh, I am not speaking well today.
That's okay, man. That's okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but on the other side of the other side of the dungeon, Malfoy turned his back on Snape and pressed the badge, smirking. Potter stinks flashed once more across the room. It is so irritating what Draco gets away with and how caught Harry always is.
I know. There's like no way that like maybe this would work for like a morning or something, but certainly by the afternoon, if enough students are wearing these, like the other teachers will have like noticed them. I'm like, all right, hand me the badges.
Yeah, it's like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not going to let this fly.
Nope.
But Harry is having some dark thoughts himself. He says, if only he knew how to do the Cruciatus curse, which is like, whew, gosh, Harry.
Going for the big guns.
But instead, Snape starts teaching them about antidotes, which, if you'll recall, fast forward to book 6, Slughorn's going to also be teaching them about antidotes, and Harry is just not going to have any idea what's going on. So maybe the reason he doesn't know what's going on in year 6 is because he's in such a bad mood in year 4 when he's first learning about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it goes on to say that, and then we'll be selecting someone on whom to test one.
Yeah.
And it's like, I bet we can guess who. Also, like, what?
I know.
It's like, what is this class?
I know. It's a pretty savage lesson.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, Snape's eyes met Harry's, and Harry knew what was coming. Snape was going to poison him.
Yep. That is Harry imagined picking up his cauldron and sprinting to the front of the class and bringing it down on Snape's greasy head, to which I think solid idea, although you do want to make sure, Harry, that if you're going to do that, like, you have a nice solid cauldron bottom.
That's true.
Because you wouldn't want it to break through. You'd want it to really slam down and hit him on the head.
So the blood
and if you have a
trauma.
flimsy bottom cauldron, that's not going to work out.
I know. Yeah, we'll call it Percy Weasley.
Yeah.
Like, I have something to report, Perce.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then a knock on the dungeon door burst in on Harry's thoughts, and this is going to be the funniest exchange between two characters, Colin Creevey and Severus Snape, where somehow Colin seems to have the edge on Snape.
Oh my gosh.
The whole time.
This is the most Gryffindor Colin ever is. He is so bold in this scene.
Yes, he does. Yes, said Snape curtly. Please, sir, I'm supposed to take Harry Potter upstairs. Snape stared down his hook nose at Colin, whose smile faded from his eager face. Potter has another hour of potions to complete, said Snape coldly. He will come upstairs when his class is finished.
Yeah.
Colin went pink. Sir, Mr. Bagman wants him, he said nervously. All the champions have to go. I think they want to take photographs.
I know. Like, if I was Colin, I'd be like, I'm just going to go back and be like, Snape wouldn't let him leave.
Yes,
Someone else has to go try.
I'm leaving now. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's see here. Harry would have given anything he owned to have stopped Colin from saying those last few words. He chanced a half glance at Ron, but Ron was staring determinedly at the ceiling. Very well, Snape snapped. Potter, leave your things here. I want you to come back down later. Just your antidote.
But Colin is not done.
Please, sir. He's got these things with him.
Squeak call. The thing is, they will finish before class ends. So this
Yes.
isn't even true.
It's not even true.
Yeah.
Yes. All the champions. Very well, said Snape. Potter, take your pack and get out of my sight.
Boy, Snape really loses this argument so bad.
He does.
To Colin.
Colin
Colin outmaneuvers him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty great. It's
Oh,
pretty great.
boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see here. Then so then they turn the corner and Colin's like, it's amazing, isn't it, Harry?
Yeah. Yeah. Really amazing, said Harry heavily.
What do you want photos for, Colin? What do they want photos for, Colin? The Daily Prophet, I think. Great, said Harry dully. Exactly what I need. More publicity. Good
know.
luck, said Colin.
Oh, Colin is just like, this is the best thing ever. You're so cool, Harry.
Colin can't read anything.
No, he cannot.
He's not good at reading people. Not one bit.
Nope.
Yep.
But finally, we've arrived at the weighing of the wands, where we have Rita Skeeter there wearing magenta robes, which I always imagine her in green, probably because of the movie, but there she is. And again, Victor Crumb standing moodily in a corner, not talking to anyone, being suspicious as ever.
Yep.
And then you've got, this is fun. There's like a little running, like Fleur has a crush on Cedric thing going out through this book where it says, Cedric and Fleur were in conversation. Fleur looked a good deal happier than Harry had seen her so far. She kept throwing her hair back so her long silvery hair caught the light. She's definitely just like sitting there like, oh my gosh, Cedric, what's up? Hey, there's my hair. Yeah.
My mind immediately goes to Galinda from Wicked. With the
Yes.
Toss.
That's exactly what's happening. But notice how Cedric is not drawn in by her Vila charms, because Cedric has outstanding character.
That's exactly correct.
And could not be controlled by the Imperious curse, and therefore definitely cannot be controlled by her quarter brand of Vila magic.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Anyway, then it says Bagman suddenly spotted Harry, got up quickly, and bounded forward. Here he is, champion number 4. In you come, Harry, in you come. Nothing to worry about. It's just the wand weighing ceremony. The rest of the judges will be here in a moment.
Yeah.
This is going to continue to be like sort of like the unusual special attention that Ludo seems to be giving to Harry for reasons that we don't fully understand. But he seemed very excited about the fact that Harry was involved in the tournament. And again, we don't know why.
But of course, it's because he's planning on betting on Harry and
his long odds.
cheating and then helping Harry cheat.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Or so he thinks.
Right. We have to check your wands are fully functional, no problems, and as they're your most important tools in the tasks ahead, said Bagman. The experts upstairs now with Dumbledore. The expert, of course, is going to be
Ollivander. And it's like, don't know why you wouldn't just say his name here.
Right.
Yeah.
This is Rita Skeeter. It's going to be like the first time we formally meet her on page. And then I've just written in a little note here. We got Skeeter, like Mo Skeeter, like mosquito.
Mosquito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little nod to the fact that she is a beetle.
She is a beetle.
Later
yeah.
on. She's doing a small piece on the tournament for the Daily Prophet, which actually is kind of surprising. Like you would assume that like regardless of who is covering this particular subject, that it would be like front page news. This would be a big deal to the wizarding population.
Absolutely it is. And of course, she is not planning on it being small. Maybe not that small, Ludo, her eyes on Harry. We get the description of the jeweled spectacles, which are, of course, important for identifying her as the beetle later. She's got her crocodile skin handbag. Nice little trivia thing for you there. And then she says, can I get a quick word with Harry if he has no objections to having, if he has no objections, which of course, he does.
Yes. He's like, no, I would rather not do that.
Yeah.
Or I think exactly as Harry would say is actually just And I have an counter.
Oh, you have an counter?
An counter going. Yeah. So that's going to be number 1.
Number 1. Yeah. There we go. So Rita leads him aside into a closet or to a broom cupboard, to which I was like, cleaning or sport?
Yes. Yeah, I know. But there's actually, this is kind of a funny one as well. From the film, when they go into the broom cupboard, I'm pretty sure Harry's like, it's a broom cupboard. And she goes, you should feel right at home, which is kind of funny because like, it's like, how much research have you done on Harry? Because
I know.
That's definitely like it's a throwback to his life at the Dursleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And then it's not like that remarkable or anything, but like the description of what happens before they start the interview is like, there's like some weird details in there. So first, she sits herself precariously on an upturned bucket, pushing Harry down onto a cardboard box. And I'm like, cardboard box just doesn't seem like it lives in the magical world.
It's like the
did they
word
use
hamburger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, did they use cardboard? Like, I don't know. It seems like I don't think they ever mentioned a cardboard box ever again.
It's a very good point. I mean, I feel like certain things come in boxes, but like maybe they're all like wood boxes. I don't know. I don't know. Box is a very satisfying word.
I mean, I guess when he's getting the wands, like Ollivander has like all those boxes.
He does have all those little boxes.
Yeah, I guess there's that, but I don't know. This sounds to me more like a package you got from Amazon or something.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I follow you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even the idea that he's sitting on a cardboard box, like cardboard boxes are not famous for being able to be sat upon.
I know. How sturdy is this cardboard box?
Right. Yeah.
Seems very. But then she unsnaps her crocodile skin handbag and pulls out a handful of candles, lights them with a wave of her wand, and magics them into midair. So there's no light in this closet or windows, I guess. But also, more importantly, that means she's just walking around with a pocketbook full of candles.
I know. And also, I mean, it seems like she's doing like nonverbal magic here in kind of an impressive way. And I was like, is Rita Skeeter like kind of good at magic? And
I guess she should be if she's like a fully qualified witch, you know?
Oh, and she's a fully qualified witch and an animagus to boot.
That's true.
You know, it's like she's actually performing kind of difficult feats of magic. So
Yeah.
maybe just yes. Anyway, then she busts out her quick quotes quill, and it says, let's see, and Harry's like, what? And Rita Skeeter's smile widened. Harry counted 3 gold teeth, which I think is a great piece of trivia.
Great piece of trivia.
How many gold teeth does Rita Skeeter have?
But we will find out later in this this is interesting too, because we'll find out later that there is like magic that like fixes your teeth.
Yes.
Right? So it's like but like you can't fix like cursed scars. So it's like, what happened to her mouth?
It got cursed.
I guess she's been cursed. Somewhere. There's a story there.
There's a story there.
Yeah, which she probably wrote about.
Or maybe she's just doing it for the aesthetic.
I guess. Ooh, you think so?
Could be.
so.
Maybe she just vibes with
You
the
think
gold
the
teeth.
beetle has like gold teeth?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I know that there exists like a pure gold looking beetle.
Ooh.
Like they're actually awesome looking.
That's
If you've
cool.
never paid enough attention or gone to like an insectarium, beetles are awesome.
Beetles are awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next time I'm around the insectarium.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll go look
check
at
it
it.
out. Let me know what you think.
I'll tell you what I keep enjoying at zoos is frogs.
Frogs are great.
pretty cool.
Like a poison dart tree frog.
Yeah, they're like so bright and colorful, and like just like they would seem like, oh yeah, these are fun.
Did you know that the poison dart tree frog itself, while it does have poisonous venom on its back, it's not the frog that secretes the venom itself. It's from the insect that the frog eats in the Amazon rainforest. And
So if you just had like poison dart frogs, but just fed them non-poisonous crickets, they wouldn't be poisonous?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I know. Fun stuff.
Didn't know that.
Things you learn when you work in the reptile section of Petland for a few
you go.
years.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway,
Let's see. So Rita tests out the quick quotes quill, and it says, attractive blonde Rita Skeeter, 43, whose savage quill has punctured many inflated reputations, which is like, it makes you wonder how the quick quotes quill works. Like, is it like reading her thoughts, or like, because she like sucks on it, so, or is it just sort of like, that feels like what it has to be, because you didn't say those things out loud.
I know. Yeah. I sort of agree with you. Like, it's almost like it's like taking her like her own personal brand of spin and immediately including it. But I can't imagine that that's like what the, like if the Weasleys, for example, made a quick quotes quill, it's not like it would be like writing Like it has to be part of you.
Yeah, you're right. Like I don't think it would like come down as like savage if like Ron was using a quick quotes quill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just speaking more to like shorthand for what your brain waves are saying or something.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So Harry, what made you decide to enter the Triwizard Tournament? To which Harry responds, So counters up to 2.
They're up to 2.
Yep.
Says nothing, but what it writes down is an ugly scar, souvenir of the tragic past, disfigures the otherwise charming face of Harry Potter, which those are some choice words. Very nice.
Yes.
Ignore the quill. It's like, what? But no, it's writing down mean things about me.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to enter the tournament, Harry? I didn't, said Harry. I didn't know how I don't know how my name got in the Goblet of Fire. I didn't put it in there.
Yeah. One of the only real quotes he's going to get out.
Yes, I know. Yes. Rita Skeeter raised one heavily penciled eyebrow.
Yeah. Which I can't do.
You can't. Oh, you can't raise an
like,
eyebrow.
Raise like one eyebrow. I can raise 2. Can I do one?
Sometimes you do it when you're chugging something. You'll raise an eyebrow. Oh,
just one?
You get You get like a little wiggle there. It's kind of working.
Now,
Just gotta work on your motor control. That's all.
I'll just be staring at the mirror for like an hour tonight, and Beth's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Working out my eyebrow muscles."
Yes, exactly. Let's see here. So then Rita Skeeter is like, our readers love a rebel. But I didn't enter, Harry repeated. I don't know who. How do you feel about the task ahead, said Rita Skeeter? Excited? Nervous? I haven't really thought. Yeah, nervous, I suppose.
Yeah. Champions have died in the past, haven't they? Said Rita. Have you thought at all about that? Well, they said it's going to be a lot safer this year. Yeah, well, that's what they say.
That's what they say.
I mean, it's not going to be.
Someone's still going to die.
I mean, I think they say it's going to be safer, but then they still have dragons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what you guys think you could have done if someone just got like blasted by the flames.
Yeah.
You know, you think you're going to save them before they're dead? Because like, I don't think so.
What is the animal that goes in like a tirade that like we learned about from Hermione? Like it's not a manticore, or
is it a manticore?
is it a manticore?
I think so.
Something that the champions were supposed to be getting.
Yeah.
It's like whatever it is, it can't
Or
be
a chimera.
a chimera.
Yeah.
A chimera.
Yeah.
It can't. It seems like a chimera would be just like in a similar camp to a dragon in terms
know.
of danger.
Right.
It's sort of like, and there was one chimera to the 3 champions.
Yeah.
And it went on a rampage.
Right. This is 4 dragons
To 4 champions.
4 champions, and they'll get around it. So who knows? Yeah. There's that.
Of course, you've looked death in the face before, haven't you? Said Rita Skeeter, watching him closely. How would you say that's affected you? To which Harry's going to respond,
So that's his third time.
Third counter.
Yep. Also, quite a bold question. Like, how has being orphaned affected you? I'm like, I met you 3 seconds ago.
Yes. Let's
Thanks.
open up about that for the public right now.
I know, right here, right now, when you've got like maybe 1 minute to talk.
Right.
Not that it's going to matter. She's just going to make up all the answers herself anyway.
Yes.
So Harry tells her for the 3rd time that he didn't enter. And she just skates right past that because she does not care. She has her own agenda that she's working on. Let's see. The quick quote squill says, tears fill those startlingly green eyes as our conversation turns to the parents he can barely remember, which is like, oh boy, that's crazy.
I know. Then Harry's like, I have not got tears in my eyes.
Yes.
And fortunately, at this particular moment, Albus Dumbledore opened the door, looking down at both of them, squashed into the cupboard, which if you're Harry, I feel like it's kind of like an embarrassing scene to be found in. It's like, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah, I just I got pulled aside. Now I'm in here. There's floating candles. I'm sitting on a cardboard box.
She's on an upturned bucket.
She's on a bucket. Yeah, it's weird.
It's not an overall good look, really, for anybody.
Yeah.
Dumbledore, cried Rita Skeeter with every appearance of delight, but Harry noticed that the quill and parchment had suddenly vanished from the box of magical mess remover, and Rita's clawed fingers, which feels a little like foreshadowy.
Yeah,
like
a little
clawed
bit.
fingers.
Yeah.
How are you, she said, standing up and holding out her large mannish hands to Dumbledore.
Mannish hands.
Yes. I hope you saw my piece over the summer about the International Confederation of Wizards Conference. Enchantingly nasty.
Yes.
Said Dumbledore.
Love that.
His eyes twinkling.
I know. I love that. I particularly enjoyed your description of me as an obsolete dingbat, which, as ever, Dumbledore with his signature savage politeness.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so fun. And then he totally shuts her down again, or she's just like, oh, I'm just making the point that some of your ideas are a little old-fashioned, Dumbledore.
I'm sort of like, this seems surprising to me. Like, I feel like, if anything, Dumbledore's outlook on the wizarding world and Muggle relations and just about everything would be in more of like a progressive column.
Yeah, they don't
an
seem old-fashioned. They seem new-fashioned, which is often the problem.
Yes.
And then he just, I love how he handles it. Just, I will be delighted to hear the reasoning behind the rudeness, Rita, but I'm afraid we'll have to discuss the matter later. Which is like, it's like, he finds a way to like tell her like, you are being very rude, but I'll be happy to hear about it, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
With a courteous bow and smile.
Yes.
To which I wrote a note here that just says, constant politeness.
Constant politeness. Yes.
Yes, he does it all the time.
But it is time to re-meet Mr. Ollivander, who will only appear in the series 3 times in books 1, 4, and 7, which, not for nothing, is the same amount of times we will run into dragons in the same 3 books.
Yes, I feel like there was
series.
something else we just encountered recently that we were like, wait a second, that's interesting. It's just 147.
I think it was Ollivander.
Oh, was it Ollivander?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But so, like, I think we've talked about it before. Like, every time Harry meets a dragon, it like mirrors his situation a little bit.
Yes.
So, like, you know, like Norbert arrives to Hogwarts with Hagrid into like a unknown world to him, which is like Harry leaving the Muggle world and coming to Hogwarts and entering the magical world. The Horntail is just going to be just straight up like Voldemort. It's just like who Harry will later face that year.
Yeah, but and there's also a little bit of like the like both the Hungarian Horntail and Harry are being like placed against each other, kind of both against their will.
Right. Yes.
So because they're both being like, you know, forced to do battle in this tournament.
Yeah. So neither of them really want to be there.
Yes, and then finally we have the Ukrainian Iron Belly, which is deep below the like Gringotts.
Yes.
And its whole thing is sort of like breaking free of the chains and finally escaping like sort of the prison it's been caged within.
Yes, which is then similar to Harry, like being very near to escaping his own like destiny as the chosen one. Like he will soon be free of the burden.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
So anyway, but Mr. Ollivander has the same pattern. So it's like, I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason to that either. I mean, the first time it's just sort of like, obviously Harry has to get his wand and you learn about the twin cores, and it feels very much like he's here this time to remind the audience about the twin cores and to say that they came from the same phoenix, and like you definitely really need to know that for the end of this book to make sense.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And then when he comes again, I guess he'll tell him some about like the Elder Wand. So every time they do have a conversation about like him versus Voldemort and wands.
Right, yes. And I mean, I think the whole point there, you're exactly right. It's like the relationship between Harry and Voldemort's wands is of vital importance, and we kind of have to like keep that like idea kind of prompted back to us, the readers.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. So then Fleur goes up first, and she hands over her wand, which of course is made out of rosewood and has the hair from a vila. This is where we learned that it actually come from her grandmother, being
Her grandmother,
which means she is in fact 25% Vila. The length of her wand is a little on the shorter side at 9.5 inches, which I was like, how small was Umbridge's? Because I feel like hers is also like really little. Umbridge's is 8, so it's you know, not that small, but it is quite small.
Right.
It's
also described as inflexible.
Yes,
which is like a more polite way of saying unyielding.
Yes, like a bit rigid in nature, which I think is supposed to kind of create this slightly formidable nature as it pertains to both Crumb and Fleur as like opponents that Harry's up against.
Yeah,
because neither of them like are really bad, but both of their wands don't have like the most positive connotations.
Yeah, I mean, it says inflexible, which, you know, so far, most of what we've seen from Flora is just sort of this like condescending, like my way is the highway.
Yes. Yeah. So her character seems to get a little bit of an arc there in terms of the growth.
Yeah, she gets pretty humbled in the second task, and that really seems like it makes her a little more flexible.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Exactly. Harry does have a little moment there though where he's like, oh, so she was part Vila. Harry making a mental note to tell Ron, then remember that Ron wasn't speaking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, and then Ollivander comments, he says, Vila hairs, I find they make temperamental wands, however, to each his own, and if it suits you, which I suppose it definitely would, because she's also part Vila. But then it's interesting what he makes with each wand. So he says Orchideus, and he like has a bunch of flowers burst up, which is like all of the wands are very what he makes are very fitting to the characters. So like Fleur literally means flower, and it's made from rosewood, and roses are flowers. He makes flowers. There you go.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think she's also beautiful, and flowers are associated, or they're known for their beauty specifically. So,
Yes.
yeah, there would be that as well. Yep. So definitely a perfect fit on that particular occasion.
Even rosewood. I mean, I don't know if rosewood trees are different. Or is there a rosewood tree versus just like rose bushes? I don't know.
I don't know exactly how that works. That's sort of an interesting question, because I know that like holly similarly is also both a bush and tree.
Yeah,
like
I
when it
guess
comes
so.
to it. But
Right.
the other thing I was going to say about the rosewood in particular is that it is not only does Ollivander not use Vila hair as one of his cores, but on the Pottermore website about wand woods, there is no information about rosewood at all.
Yeah,
So,
very interesting as well.
So he also doesn't work with rosewood.
So this is a very foreign wand to him altogether.
Yes.
But the other thing, I mean, the other thing about roses you always think of is like they have thorns, but they're beautiful.
Yes.
And then that kind of fits in with like the inflexible nature of it as well.
Yes, it absolutely does.
Or like
Yeah.
prickly personality. So
Right.
far, anyway.
So far. Yep. So then Cedric is going to be up next. And so as he's walking over, though, it does say that Fleur glided back to her seat, smiling at Cedric as he passed her. And so I do think it's kind of funny as well that like we know that she is clearly like making eyes at Cedric.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Yule Ball, she goes with Roger Davies.
Yeah.
To me, which means like Cedric asks
Cho.
Cho before Fleur can ask Cedric.
Yeah.
But Cho, I believe, absolutely would have said yes to Harry
Yeah.
had Harry asked Cho first. So
Right.
it's like based on this like line of reasoning, and as much as like Fleur has like looked down on Harry, it's like the guy you like is going to pick somebody who likes Harry more than him.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
so it's like, and that particular way, I mean, not
Yeah.
that that's how relationships or hierarchy or social dynamics or any of it actually works.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny that you've kind of got this like group of four people who all kind of could be mildly interconnected.
Well, I mean, if only Fleur had found out that Harry also asked Cho, she could have just asked Harry and been like, let's make them jealous, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
then we could have had like the whole flower pot situation, the classic Fleur-Harry ship.
I know. And people are asking for it.
People are asking for it. We've had it happen in a What If.
We have.
We've
We
also
have.
had Cedric and Fleur happen in a What If. So,
We have.
Yeah,
We've got just about every.
We got a
angle you
lot of what ifs
possibly
going
go.
on here, man. Yeah, this is some fun stuff. Meanwhile, Ollivander is basically going to be like, as far as I'm concerned, almost flirting with Cedric over his wand. He's gushing, man.
He really is. I remember it well, containing a single hair from the tail of a particularly fine male unicorn.
Must have been 17 hands.
Goodness me.
Nearly gored me with his horn after I plucked his tail. Can you imagine Ollivander sneaking up on unicorns?
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
No.
I can't imagine they love him a whole lot either.
Yeah.
Harry's always a little unsure how he feels about Ollivander. And I feel like unicorns feel the same way.
Yeah. I don't know about this guy.
12 and a quarter inches.
12, yeah.
Ash, pleasantly springy. It's in fine condition. So this one I think is of most interest just because it matches Ron's exact first wand.
Yes, it does.
So it's ash and unicorn hair, but of course, Ron's is passed down to him from Charlie.
Yes.
And the information that we know about this wand in particular is that they are not well at being passed down. So
No.
it works a heck of a lot better for Cedric, who's its original.
Who is the original owner? Yeah.
Yeah.
So unicorn hairs don't like changing owners, and Ashwood especially doesn't like it. So yeah, Ron was sort of doomed out of the gate there. And then of course his wand wood is ash, and what Ollivander is going to produce is smoke rings. So like ash, smoke, fire. Boom. Get it?
Yeah, I mean there's that, and then I think there's also maybe like a tiny little foreshadowing feels like maybe a little bit too extreme to give the situation, but when Cedric is going to come out of Priori Incantatem, I believe he is the first one out, and it is described as almost like a smoky substance, like
you're
sort of
right.
exiting. So could be a little bit of a
little bit of foreshadowing
Little
for
Dedrick.
old Dedrick over there. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Harry is feeling embarrassed that he did not polish his own wand last night and tries to like rub it clean. Gold sparks shoot out of the end of it. Of course, I think that's like just like a little like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be like embarrassing for him, but it's also they are gold, which I feel like is because he has the phoenix wing or tail feather.
Yes,
phoenix feather in there. Let's see, and then he looks at Crumb's wand, and we get as such an important sentence here. Won't come up again until Deathly Hallows, but he says,
yes.
This is a Grigorovich creation, unless I'm much mistaken. So Grigorovich is the foreign wand maker who owned the Elder Wand that Grindelwald will steal from him. He will use it in the duel against Dumbledore. Dumbledore will win the wand from him, and then Draco will Expelliarmus the wand from Dumbledore, and then Harry will physically take a different wand from Draco, and he'll be the master of the Elder Wand. But
exactly.
Blah, 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 blah. It is important to know who Grigorovich is, and this will be the only mention of him until Book 7.
Until then, yes. And it's funny because I think that when we first hear the name, Harry's like he's thinking about Quidditch, and I think Ron's like, "You sure you don't think of Gorgovich?"
Yeah.
And then I forget what Gorgovich does, but I feel like he's got like some type of funny description.
Yeah.
Like
just another bad player for the Chudley Cannons.
Yes. But Harry will eventually be like, Gorgovich, Crumb. That's why I thought Quidditch.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's going to be able to eventually like piece it back together.
Yes, he is.
Then we learn that Crumb's wand is made of hornbeam with dragon heartstring. Piece of information that I found while researching for today's episode is that Ollivander's own wand is made of hornbeam.
Oh, is it?
Which I found to be of particular interest, yes. And the description of hornbeam wand woods is that it is typically associated with people who have a singular speciality or passion of which they would dig deeply into. In the case of Ollivander, it's obviously wands. In the case of Crumb, it's obviously Quidditch.
Yes, or Hermione.
Yes.
And the fact that his is dragon heartstring stands out as well because it means amongst the 4 champions, you have 4 different cores, being Phoenix for Harry, dragon heartstring for Crumb, Unicorn for Cedric, and Vila for Fleur.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's another one of those where it's kind of like when we were getting our seating arrangement back when the other 2 schools arrived, you've got basically like Harry from Gryffindor, Cedric from Hufflepuff, and then Fleur sits with the Ravenclaws and Crumb sits with the Slytherin. So you're always kind of getting like the representation as to how like they are each distinctly of different types and kinds of like personalities, if you will. The spell that Ollivander uses for Crumb's wand is going to be Avis, which I think is a neat little piece of trivia. But interestingly, later on in the series, when Hermione is jealous over Ron and Lavender, she will have used this same spell to create the little flock of birds.
Do you think he shows it to her?
I think that there's a decent chance that he shows it to her. And I think in that moment, she is almost trying to like think of like she's jealous because she likes Ron, but I feel like what she's almost doing is like being like Crumb, you know, like
she's like sending, not that Crumb is the one who cast the spell, it's Ollivander, but it is
correct.
Yeah,
but in some way, it still feels like we for whatever reason, it feels very associated.
It does. It's like,
Crumb.
oh, you're trying to make me jealous? Fine, I'll make you jealous. Remember Crumb?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And then, of course, the other interesting thing about it being birds in particular is that Crumb is an excellent flyer.
Exactly.
So that's the other detail that I think we can certainly figure out from that.
There is that indeed.
And then Ollivander is definitely like, good, which leaves the best for last.
Yeah.
Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter.
Not quite as good looking as that Cedric lad, but yes, indeed, yours is interesting.
You know, you're the Phoenix I got this from. I dare say it was only about 4 hands or so, you know, whatever.
Hard to say. Ah, yes, said Mr. Ollivander, his pale eyes suddenly gleaming. Yes. How well I remember. Harry could remember too. He remembered as though it happened yesterday.
Yeah, and then we get the quick summary, and basically Harry is just really, really hoping that he's not about to reveal to the whole room that him and Voldemort's wands share this weird relationship. And then you get another sentence on here. It says, as far as he was concerned, Harry had never shared this piece of information with anybody. He was very fond of his wand, and as far as he was concerned, its relationship to Voldemort's wand was something it couldn't help. Rather, as he couldn't help being related to Aunt Petunia. But again, this is it's another like Harry is the chosen one thing. It's like he can't help that he is the chosen one.
Exactly.
Like, it's like he just is. He just is.
I mean, and in that way, it's like, yeah, Harry compares it to being related to Aunt Petunia, but also it's like it has so much more to do with his own relationship to Voldemort. Yeah,
Right.
it's like you and this wand both can't help it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So, fortunately, Ollivander does not reveal that to the entire room. Instead, he just examines the wand and, very interestingly, what he shoots out of Harry's wand is wine, which I feel like is absolutely supposed to be some kind of like Jesus imagery in terms of like water into wine, and Harry comes back from the dead and, all that.
Yeah, major big time like chosen one energy there with the wine in particular. Wine is also typically like a symbol for blood. Not
they
to make
will
it like,
take Harry's blood later as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that would be the little piece there. I mean, that is why wine is usually associated with Jesus.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, he has the miracle of turning the water into wine, but then if you take like communion at church, you take like the body and blood, and like the body is the bread and the wine is the blood.
Got it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So doing our best to interpret that one. Where the other ones are very, very obvious. I feel like this one has like much greater symbolism attached to it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see here. And then, this is the moment where Dumbledore says, "Thank you all. You may go back to your lessons now, or perhaps it'll be quicker to just go down to dinner." So that's the clue that it did not take as long as Colin thought that it would.
Yeah, I thought it would. So he probably could have gone back to Snape's. They will have to stay longer than that because they have to take photographs. But I love Dumbledore's initial idea to just sort of like skip the rest of class, because so often in the books it seems like Dumbledore, it's like he's like, yes, I'm the headmaster of a school and schools run a certain way, but there are rules here that I guess I'm supposed to enforce. But it's like he definitely has this like overarching opinion that like the real important lessons and the really most powerful and unique kinds of magic are the kinds of things you're not going to learn about in class.
Yeah.
And like those are what you really need to walk away from the school with. And like he understands that in a way that like literally nobody else does.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like this basic fundamental idea, even of like a little bit of like rule breaking, it's kind of like that's the kind of thing you are supposed to be learning while you're here. It's like, we're not going to directly encourage it. And when caught, we probably need to react to it.
I mean, he definitely has like a rules are meant to be broken approach to making rules.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's see here. Then Ludo is immediately like, "Photos, Dumbledore, photos."
Yeah.
And this is probably like one of those things where Ludo certainly wants there to be more attention being placed on the tournament, because I'm sure that only helps his ability to
like gather bets and wagers and stuff, wagers and things.
Yep.
Of course, the photographs take a long time because Madame Maxime is too big. I can't help but notice as well that he said all the judges would be there, but Mr. Crouch is not there. But like, it's not brought up this time. But it's like another spot where like he should be here, right?
Yeah, it does seem that way. That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, because it's like, it seems like kind of like all the other important people happen to be on standby, because even it's going to say that it takes a really long time because they're having a hard time figuring out how to get the like Madame Maxime properly positioned in the shot. Yeah, so you've got all the heads of house, you've got Ludo Bagman. It's like, it definitely seems like somebody is missing from this equation.
Yeah, definitely does. And then I think it's just funny. It says the photographer seemed keenest to get Floor at the front, which is just like, that's just kind of funny.
That is kind of
He's
funny.
like, "Oh, put the pretty girl in front," and Rita's like, "No, put Harry in the front." And like they're like, Crumb's like, "I don't want to be in the front." Cedric's like, "I'll do it.
You guys just put me wherever you need me, okay?
Put me wherever you need me.
I'm happy
You
to
want me to take the
cooperate.
picture? You want me to take it?
Yeah.
Bozo, you get in there, man.
Go pop on.
You've
in.
been working hard.
Yeah, but Bozo is the name of the photographer.
Yes, Bozo is Rita's photographer. That's literally his name, is Bozo.
Yes. Just a little fun fact for you there. So then let's see here. Up in the dormitory, Harry then comes across Ron. This is going to be like later in the evening. Ron is going to say, "You've had an owl." It says, said Ron brusquely.
Yes, brusquely.
Yeah.
What's important here is that like Harry would have discovered that he had an owl and there was a note on his, bed, no matter what.
Yes.
But like Ron knows that the owl is from Sirius, and as much as he is not talking to Harry, he still he is super cares that Harry gets that letter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yep. And yeah, then so we'll get to the letter in just 1 second, but then he also adds that we've got to do our detentions tomorrow night, Snape's dungeon. So at least they're gonna get to hang.
I guess they're gonna get to hang. You think they maybe they'll disembowel some toads or
Something like that.
something? Who's to say?
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. Sirius's letter comes back, and in usual Sirius fashion, is just as vague as can possibly be. It says, "Can you ensure that you're alone by the fire in Gryffindor Tower at 1 o'clock in the morning on the 22nd of November?" Like, could you just put a little bit more information about that? Like I intend to use some flu powder to speak to you.
Exactly. It's like
Right.
at this point in time, it's like if somebody knows that you're going to be able to communicate with Sirius Black in the Gryffindor common room at that particular time, it's like it doesn't really matter what the circumstances are. It's like it's going to be just as bad if they discover this note. Either which way.
Either way.
Yeah. So it doesn't make a huge difference. But
Yeah.
I know better than anyone that you can look after yourself. And while you're around Dumbledore and Moody, I don't think anyone will be able to hurt you. That little piece with Moody in there, if continues to just reinforce this idea that this is an ally. This is Sirius. Sirius can usually read between the lines. He doesn't seem to be concerned about Moody at all.
Yeah,
so why would we?
Yes. Just continue to vouch for him. He's basically on the same level as Dumbledore as far as Sirius is concerned.
Precisely.
Yeah.
However, someone seems to be having a good try. Entering you in that tournament would have been very risky, especially right under Dumbledore's broken nose. It doesn't say broken, but I added that part. Be on the watch, Harry. I still want to know about anything unusual. Let me know about the 22nd of November as quickly as you can. Sirius. And that will bring us to the end of chapter 18.
Yes,
so Jay,
it will.
as per always, do you have a review for us?
I sure do, Ben. This review comes from That Gentle Hufflepuff.
Oh,
They say, "Love Remus. Hey, brother, new fan of you guys. Do you think Lupin wasn't in the Slug Club because Slughorn knew he was a werewolf, since the teachers would have known his situation?"
ooh.
Well, do we know for absolutely certain that he wasn't in it? I assume not, because I guess we don't know for no.
I'm trying to think here. So were James and Sirius?
No, you know what? I guess James and Sirius were not either, right?
Because I feel like at the very least, he points the photo of Regulus and he's like, would have liked the set.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I guess what he means there is he would have liked the set in his house.
In his house.
But under that same guise, you would think that if he had been a member of the Slug Club, then that would have been the same as far as Slughorn is concerned as collecting Sirius in the same way that he wants to collect Harry or Lily or anybody else who isn't of Slytherin.
Well, the
house.
reason I think Harry sees his mom staring back at him from the photos too, doesn't he?
I think
because she's in a Slug Club picture.
Yes.
Right. And so if that's the case, then I feel like it would have mentioned if Sirius and James or Remus were there as well.
Yes, absolutely. No, I'm inclined to agree with you. So this could be the type of thing where maybe and James even if he's not a member of it, that would go even one step further because he comes from a certain degree of wealth. He is
He's pure blood.
Pure-blooded.
Yeah. And he's apparently the, best Quidditch player, best at everything in the school kind of attitude. So it's almost surprising that he's not there unless it's most of Slughorn's people at this point are just sort of like the forerunners to the Death Eaters kind of thing. Because when Tom Riddle's there, it's a bunch of Death Eater names that you're familiar with.
You're right.
But if that's the case, then it feels like you wouldn't include Lily. Right?
No, or at the very least, that if it was the rest of those groups of people, Lily chastises Snape for hanging out with Mulciber and Avery, I believe. So in the event that the Slug Club was Mulciber, Avery, and Snape, then I can't imagine that Lily would be going to Slug Club meetings.
Right. And it feels like if Snape was in the picture, Harry would have noticed that too.
Feels like if Snape was in the picture. Yeah.
right?
Yes. Also true. Yeah. If there was any of the other characters that we knew, it seems like they would come up.
Yeah.
Under this particular. I just want to look it up now, just so that we can be certain, because I don't want people to be like screaming at their headsets, being like, "You idiots!"
Yeah.
Let's see here. Was James Potter in the Slug Club?
Boom. All right, let's find out.
Let's see here. It says, based on the Harry Potter books, there's no indication that James Potter or his friend Sirius Black or Remus Lupin were ever members of Professor Slughorn's Slug Club. I do see a Reddit post here, just for the sake of the full conversation. Did James Potter avoid the Slug Club to stand by Remus? Let's discuss. So,
I like that. That feels like it makes more sense.
I could definitely see that. Like this would be a situation, especially with the kind of intensity of friendship that this group has.
Yes. Yeah.
That it would be like it's all or none.
I can absolutely see Sirius and James being invited and them turning it down because Remus wasn't, because from their point of view, like Remus is like extremely smart and bookish, and like there'd be no reason for him not to be included.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than the werewolf situation, which they would know, Slughorn would know about. And so.
Yes. So his exclusion, but then they also can't really out Lupin to, at least not directly to Lily.
Right.
Either.
Yeah.
Like, because at that point in time, maybe that information wouldn't have been shared. So,
yeah.
Like, Lily is talking to Snape and has that conversation where she's like, I know your theory. Like,
yeah.
You know, whatever. So, I mean, she may know that, but she may also not have enough of the information to know that that's why the boys were being excluded, or that Lupin would be excluded.
They could, I mean, to that end too, like they could also be just, if it's just James and Sirius, then two of their best friends are not being invited as well.
Also true. Like, if Peter's being left out.
Like, well, maybe we just don't want to leave out those two, but I feel like it would be more to do with Lupin because I hate Peter.
I know it's, I agree with you. Like, Peter's not someone who I ever want to give any grace to, but like, I also feel like there's the, like, you know, the extent to which they are friends and the fact that James would agree to Peter becoming his secret keeper. It's like you can't help but imagine that even if he's like the weak link of this four group, and that's not even like an if he is, he just is the weak link of the group based on who he goes on to be, and he betrays them, and you know he's experiencing like a lot of like cowardice and stuff. It means that like despite any of those things that we may know about Peter, like James just sees him as a trusted friend and ally, and would not think to question someone he cares so deeply about.
Yeah.
So it could be both of them.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, they've got their own little club going on just amongst themselves as the Marauders doing their own little brand of rule breaking. So, but yeah, it seems like there's no way James wouldn't be invited because like he is pure blood. And he comes from money, and his father would have invented Sleek Easy's hair potion, right?
I think it's grandfather.
His grandfather?
I think it's his grandfather.
Okay.
Because I think yes.
So if he comes from an not just a pure blood family, but an influential family.
Yes. And then
Sirius also comes from the Blacks, you know.
Yeah.
Which is otherwise a hugely influential family.
Especially to someone like Slughorn.
Yeah, especially to someone like Slughorn.
Yeah. Okay, so I like that though. And I would have liked the set, because that definitely means Sirius is not involved. Everybody always makes it sound like they're the best at everything they do. I even wonder if there's any possibility that like James rejecting this invitation is part of like what would lead like Dumbledore to assigning him as like head boy.
Oh,
because he's not prefect.
He's not prefect. No, that gets to
Remus.
Lupin.
Yeah.
But you could be in the Slug Club way earlier than that.
You could. That's what I mean. Is that like if almost like as of 5th, 6th year when you might become prefect, James is rejecting the invitation, and Dumbledore knows why he's rejecting the invitation.
Right.
And so then he's sort of like, okay, he is maturing. He is capable of the responsibility attached to being head boy.
Right.
Because it's odd that James becomes head boy when
Lupin's the prefect.
When Lupin's the prefect.
Right.
You would think that pipeline would be the more obvious.
It seems like the traditional pipeline.
Yes.
But not necessarily the way it must be.
Exactly.
But he's also Quidditch captain, so there's that.
There is that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe
Well, is he? Maybe we don't even know that. We just know he's good at Quidditch.
He's just good at Quidditch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good point. It's a good
Yeah.
point. Okay. No, great question. I love it. Yeah. James, Sirius standing by Lupin in solidarity feels like it's the reason why Lupin or why Slughorn can't get both of the Black family brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also like the idea that maybe, do you think Mulciber and Avery were in the Slug Club, and that's maybe why Lily knows more about them?
Is also possible because it seems so like, like when I forget who it is, like Colin Creevy steps on a 5th year Slytherin's toes or something like that when the Beauxbaton students are arriving. Like, so often you wouldn't know the names of the other people from different years in different houses.
Yeah, that's true.
You just don't have that much reason to cross paths with them.
Right.
Or how they know any Ravenclaws at all that aren't just Quidditch players as Gryffindors. It feels, I mean, we know Luna and Cho.
Yeah.
And Zacharias Smith?
Roger Davies. No,
Roger
Zacharias
Davies.
Smith is Hufflepuff.
Oh, that I
Yeah.
always get that wrong.
Yeah.
He has Ravenclaw vibes.
Yeah, we have Roger Davies. We have Terry Boot.
Terry
I
Boot.
believe, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And we have Flitwick. We have Lockhart.
Lockhart.
We have Quirrell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're
doing great, man.
Yeah.
We got all sorts of Ravenclaws out there.
Yeah. Anyway, none of which is the point whatsoever. Just now we're just off the track, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Anyway, I think that should do it for today's episode.
That should do it. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in. And make sure you join us next week for Chapter 19, The Hungarian Horntail Through the Gryffindor.
Today's episode was edited by Isabel Chrisley. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.